Good afternoon or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are. Will you join us for this magnificent HFG event here? We've got the BMW M2 series this afternoon going around Alton Park. You join us during the qualifying session that we've got going on at the moment. And of course, apologies those technical difficulties there. We couldn't quite bring you the practice session we wanted to show you. But of course, no broadcast on ACC is complete without those technical difficulties. I'm just going to run through a couple of the rules before we leave you on board with the qualifying session. I'm joined by Harry this afternoon. This race is going to be a bit spectacular actually. We've got some different lineups, or I should say different strategies that we're not used to seeing. So I'll take you through them towards the end of the qualifying session, and I'm just going to go on board with Denise Pope while she completes this lap, and then we will resume back in a moment. Okay, so we are back. Sorry about those difficulties. Hopefully we won't have too many more of those. As I was saying, we've got 18 cars on the track at the moment, and if you haven't already noticed, we have also got Alton Park this evening. So a variety of stuff going on. We're in the BMW M2s, the wonderful beast that came out with the latest DLC. See Luke in the chat there saying he's still not bought the DLC. What are you waiting for, Luke? Come on and buy it. So as I said earlier, I'm joined by Harry in the comms box. I think it's your third outing in the comms box, isn't it, Harry?
It is, yeah. Very looking forward to seeing what happens with these cars tonight.
So that's great news then. Right, we're all locked in and ready to go. So, as I say, 18 cars on the track at the moment. Expecting to be around a few more than that, but whether we get that or not, I don't know. We'll buy today, Okay, we'll make sure you do. Come back and drop in the chat when you've done it, Luke. So, right, anyway, I'm just going to talk you through a couple of the rules that I've actually got for this event this afternoon, because it's a bit different to normal. As we know, HFG likes to do things slightly different. So, and Harry doesn't know all of these yet either. So, of course, we've got a 95-minute race, and refueling is disabled. So the average lap time around here and the average fuel consumptions means these cars need about 92 to 95 litres to make it round. and the full tank of an M2 I believe is 82 or 85 litres. So you can already see the problem we've got. So these drivers are going to be going very slow at some point. There's going to be lots of lifting and coasting going and then managing the pace. Now I was actually speaking to Ian Hall earlier today, the car number 287 there, and he said to me that he needs to average 1.6 per lap consumption to be able to make it to the end. And with maximum lifting and coasting he was getting about 1.7, so we are going to see these cars actually going quite slow, trundling around at times to make this to the very end. So we may actually bring you the first ever race that's been broadcast where you don't see a winner or someone crossing the finish line. So that is a surprise. And then to throw things in there for good measure, we've also got the M2s have only got 2 sets of tyres as well for this event, so that's going to be very interesting that we see as well towards the end. Mr. M88 there, so Mateus there, yeah, Colombian driver, yellow flag, returns to pits, and then we've got Mr. Saplaki there as well, the 102, pulling over to the side, completes his qualifying lap, and Real there as well, looks like he's going to return to garage in a minute. Oh no, he's not, he's just letting the other M2 go. Now, Harry, have you seen much of the M2 action since it was dropped in that DLC or not?
No, I did a lap in it myself. I haven't really seen any or had any experience myself. They do look good on track though. So yeah.
No,
just going from what you're saying, it sounds like it's going to turn into a bit of an elimination race rather than.
It is, because you're going to get those that go flat out and try and build that lead at the start, and then rely on that gap being enough to carry you to the end when you're lifting and coasting. But also you're going to get those that take it steady throughout. And then you're also going to get those people that take it really steady at the start and then gun for it at the end. So you've got 3 strategies there straight away. And they can pit, they can take new tyres. In fact, they may wish to pit because obviously that takes some fuel consumption out. And you might even see some voluntary drive-throughs for all we know for the first time ever. So this is going to be a very interesting race. And of course, you've got Alton Park. It's not the most fuel-efficient track as well. There's lumps, bumps, hills, and of course, coming up down towards the Shallow Hills corner there, Mr. Nunes, he takes it round the right-hander. Like I said earlier, I apologise if my voice keeps going, and I'll try to stay with you and drink plenty of water throughout, but if not, Harry may fill in the gap. Fuel management system on these cars, lean or rich. There's only the one engine mode. There's no engine maps, and again, I know that earlier from speaking to Mr. Ian Hall, and there is no ECU switch at all. So they've got the one engine mode, so their only fuel management system is their right foot. So or left foot. I don't want to be footist in this day and age, but it's left or right foot, and then we'll see how that develops over the course of the race. Now, the qualifying time, I think, if we're being honest, Harry, qualifying is not essential for a race with these parameters on the strategy. You'll still get the people that want to claim the pole position, but I'm just looking there now at Mr. Nunes. It's 8 tenths back. I know he can do a faster lap than what he's actually put on the board. I know he's a couple of tenths up this lap as well, but he won't be trying too hard, because if we're being honest, where you start for this race doesn't really matter, because unless you're very good at fuel management, you ain't going to finish this race anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I was just looking at the times thinking, really, do they actually matter tonight? I'd be starting from the back. Well, I probably would anyway if I qualified, and just going past the ones that go flat out.
Well, exactly, and then like I said to you, you've got your 3 strategies here. You've got your fast at the start, slow at the end, you've got your slow throughout, and then you've got your slow at the start and fast at the end. And I think really we're not going to know which is the best strategy until we get to the end of this race. And then we're talking about this conversation towards the end, but I know my preferred strategy here would be to go slow throughout the race, because then that allows you to put some pace on the board when you need to. If you go too fast at the start, you've then got no defence mechanism at the end of the race, whereas if you go slow throughout, you've always got that little bit of pace that you can bring out if you need to. So we'll see many, I think around the 70-minute mark to 90-minute mark, we'll know who's doing what. But I do know for a fact that these cars can't do a 95-minute race on a full tank driving at the pace these drivers do.
Yeah, exactly. Just going back to your point about going slow throughout, that's your usual strategy, isn't it, Alex?
Well, going slow and spinning around. So, although that said, I have spent some time on iRacing this week, and I've won my first race today on iRacing and got a couple of podiums this week. So I'm starting to think that maybe I was on the wrong platform in the first place. But I think that the way iRacing works actually does help drivers like me who aren't aliens, and it puts you in a category of those that have a similar nature to you. So you normally end up with a better result. So, right, fast in all 3 sectors. Purple sector owes to a Mr. Barnett there. So, the Alpha SimSport 73 BMW. He's just about to improve again actually and put another 10th on that time, so there he's just set a 1:48.4, so that puts him nearly, well, just over a half a second clear of the next car. So again, like we said earlier, it's not essential and it's not that important for these drivers to put this on pole today, given the management strategies that they're going to face. So, and of course the BMWs, I think I'm just going to find a comment actually that was mentioned to me earlier about the M2s, because I thought it was very good, and let me just see if I can get hold of it. So yeah, so they're slow but they feel fast, so that's always a bonus, because if you feel like you're going slow, sometimes you don't always perform as well, and you sometimes expect more of a car than what it can actually give you, which is not something you want at all, especially given the nature of the circuit. Very unforgiving, plenty of grass if you touch the brakes on those grass there. Mind you, if you look at the way them BMW's taking that curb there, that's not affecting them at all. If I ride on board with one of these drivers in a second, let's try and find someone that's a bit further back on the track. The car number 10 that belongs to Mr. Irwin as well, as he now takes us round for the start of his qualifying lap, and he is currently neutral on Delta. But let's just see what things look like from his perspective over the next couple of laps. In fact, we'll go on board with my favourite camera on the roll bar here. You can see how much curb he's going to take and how much suspension these BMWs can provide. So as he now takes us around the Shell Oils corner, oh, that's not what he wanted to do there. That's going to lose him some time, but manages to keep it on the track. As I said, if you tend to come off the track, it tends to be a return to garage, because the barriers are unforgiving here, especially in this part of the track. You see there's plenty of curb there, Harry, and the car does not look too unsettled at all.
Yeah, it's long.
But I suppose these are closer to a road car than what a GT3 or GT4 car, so you'd expect them to be able to be a bit more resilient to the curbs.
Yeah, right.
When I say take a lot of curb, that was a lot of curb. that was, I think NASA's called and asked if he could come back to Earth, because that was quite the lump of curb he took out of there. So we'll leave him to the rest of his lap. He's a second down. Mr. Barnett's causing a yellow flag. I suspect that's not. He's off in the grass. I do have a replay feature on this app, but I don't use it because sometimes it causes the app to crash. We've already had some technical difficulties tonight, and I don't want to bring you any more delayed coverage. So qualifying for not necessarily, I don't believe. There's no way of enforcing that then, as Mr. Mateus there slides off at the end of Shell Oil's corner there, and he tries to spin it back round and overcorrects it on the grass. He's going to spin it around again. The car number 102 is about to come through though. I hope he's clear of the way in a second. He's going to stay on the grass by the looks of things, and the 102 now comes around the corner, plenty of space in time. He knew what he was doing. I did not. So Mr. Hall's back out on the track, which is interesting. I know his strategy was he didn't care where he qualified, so as we know, that's not always the case with him. As he now pulls over to the end of the track, he is causing the yellow flag, but that is him done for this qualifying session, and that puts him on a provisional P6 with a 49.7, quite respectable time around here. Mr. Nunez there is also up on the 49.1. The only driver to make it into the 48 this afternoon, Harry, is Mr. Barnett. So maybe he's just maybe we're going to see him go for that option one strategy that I said earlier of gun for it at the start and conserve at the end.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's probably going to be a few different groups doing different things. It does appear Mr. Barnett there is going to go flat out, at least for the start of it, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I've got nothing to compare that to. I've never seen an M2 go around here, and I can't tell you whether that's particularly fast or quick. I can tell you there's a big gap there between Mr. Alex Nunez and himself. I know Mr. Nunez is quite... he's more than a competent race driver, so if he had the pace, he would probably display it, but it may just be a case of he's not too fussed either and settled for P2. Pole isn't necessarily everything, and I'm not sure whether you start on the inside or the outside of the track here, because you really want to be on the outside if you can, because at least you can then use the grass as a bit of a runoff if you get into a sticky situation, especially going down that hill towards the avenue and the Denton's dips and cascades all the way through down to Lakeside, and of course if you're on the shorter circuit you would take a right hand turn towards Foster's instead. But as you can see, all drivers returning to the pits now. Then we've got 2 minutes left of the session, only 2 drivers left on track. Let's see who we've got. We've got the car number 32 and the car number 25. The car number 32 first across the line, currently a 10th down, but that is Delta is depleting rapidly. He's got one more corner to go, one of the trickiest corners on the the track, I believe, actually. It's quite deceiving, actually, because you take this apex here, you think you made the corner, and all of a sudden it goes even more. And if you take too much go, you're within the white lines there, and perfectly fine. It's going to cross the line and improve by 0.02 of a second, and that puts him in P4. And we've still got Mr. Real to cross the line. He's got this one last corner to go as well. He's currently a 10th down in this delta. Found a little bit of time there and got a little bit scruffy on the exit, and invalidated his lap time, so he now dives into the pits. And that is the end of this qualifying session. And Mr. Barnett is your pole sitter, with Mr. Alex Nunes in P2, and Lake Sue, and again I apologise if I've said that wrong, he starts P3. But as we've already mentioned this evening, qualifying isn't everything here, given the situations that we've got. So what we'll now do is wait for this to transition into the race mode, and what I will do in that time is I will just walk you through the rules once more. We've got 2 minutes and 55 seconds to go, and I'll do a quick grid walk in a second, but these liveries obviously aren't too different. I'm not sure all the livery packs have actually downloaded, which is interesting, and I'm not sure why that is, so we'll have a look at that in a minute. So we've got pit stops, just to go through those again. We've got no refueling, and that's quite important around here. These cars have not got a big enough tank to get around through 95 minutes of Alton Park, so that's going to make things very interesting indeed. 2 sets of tyres. Most drivers obviously would have used them in practice and qualifying, so that's 2 sets for all 3 sessions. That's not just the race session. And we've got post-event stewarding as well, so you're not going to see any decisions in the live race, which means me and Harry can speculate more on any incidents that we may see, and wait for those to be resolved at a later date. So we've got 95 minutes of Alton Park. It's a solo race, there's no driver swap, 2 sets of tyres. Pit stops are permitted, but there is no refueling. So like I said, these drivers know they've got to hit that 1.6 per lap average, and obviously within that they've got to defend, attack, and above all, Harry, make it to the end.
Yeah, I think making it to the end is going to be the most important bit for these drivers. The first part of the race, it really doesn't matter, so to speak, does it? They're going to be planning out their strategies about how they are actually going to get to the end, or if they are going to get to the end.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, for those that have only just joined us in the chat, good evening everybody. It may be one of the first races that I broadcast where we actually don't get a winner because everyone's run out of fuel at the end. So let's wait and see what happens, shall we, over the course of the next 95 minutes. Of course, the time here in the UK at the moment is 8 o'clock, so we're looking for a 9:30 finish over here, I think, or give or take. And of course, wherever you are from as well, 95 minutes. We're looking forward to seeing what this holds indeed. So as I said earlier, we've got Mr. Barnett there, who is your pole sitter, and no one obviously can serve pit stops with fuel, as I mentioned earlier, which is ironic considering the track sponsored by Esso, which is a fuel company. For those of you that don't know, I'm sure most people know that. And we're with the BMW M2s this evening, which is the first outing I think I've commentated on where these have been in a race, and in that case, then Harry, it must be yours as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So looking forward to seeing what these. You can see the cars there dropping off their jacks. That means that they have gone past the point of no return, no further changes, no setup changes. One thing I can guarantee you for strategy, ladies and gentlemen watching, is that everyone will have filled their tanks to the full, or if they haven't, this race has just got a lot harder. So let's see exactly how this is going to develop as the drivers start their one with that. Engine starting out at the last minute. Some drivers are a bit keener than I thought they were going to be at starting those engines. So let's see how this looks. Looks like we've got someone starting from the pit lane. It's like Lake Sue there. The car number 125 missed his button, and the car's now pull away and starters for this, what is going to be a fantastic race indeed. So let's see exactly how this develops. Right, I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Game, is it? Pit lane start?
Well, to be fair, it's not a bad fuel saving strategy, Harry. Right, as we now make our way on this formation lap, as I mentioned earlier, the 125 starting from the pit lane now, that may be a strategy, because what that means, Harry, is they've not used their fuel on their formation lap. And it also means that they'll be starting from the back of the pack as well, so there's no need for that feathering the throttle and burning that fuel away, and they can really take things slowly. So, as I said earlier, we've got three potential strategies this evening. We've got those that's going to gun it straight away and then use the buffer at the end as their slow gap. You've got those that are going to go slow throughout, and then you've got those that are going to go slow at the start and gun it at the end. So he's definitely that third option there with a bit of luck, and he's going to take things nice and easily indeed. So it really is going to be interesting what we see here, because there's so many different strategy options available. Some will choose to change tyres. I suspect most won't. I'll be surprised if we see that many tyre changes. It's just not necessary, given the fact that they're actually already going to be used and worn as well, so they may not actually be in a better position than what they've taken them off with, given the qualifying. So let's jump on board then with your pole sitter as we're about to start this race, and the dive into Old Hall and down towards Cascades is going to be a little bit of everything. But as I've said earlier, Harry, this race is not about the start, it's about getting to the end. So I think we're going to see drivers not so keen to overtake as quickly as what they normally would.
Yeah, Top Gear Chernobyl challenge springs to mind.
It does, but was that not one? Well, to be fair, that's a very good example. And also, for those that used to watch it in the old days, it was the Blackpool Special. So we're now lights out, and away we go down towards the Old Hall corner, down towards Cascades, and you can see the race leader there gets an excellent start with Nunes covering off, switching back up the inside. What a move by Alex Nunes, already up into P1. The switchback worked a treat, and as I said, it's not always a bad thing to be on the outside around here as well. Denise Pope's chosen the yellow flag back there. She's in the barrier. That's the start of her race, and that's probably set the tone for her weekend, actually, given how she's been. She's had some horrific luck recently. So other than that, everyone's through the first corner and in one piece. Alex Nunes is your current race leader. Let's jump on board with the TV cameras now then, so we can get a better bit of view of what's going on. And Mr. Nunes there looks like he's going to be trying that first option of getting as far as he can on max fuel and then coasting towards the end. And of course, with Denise Pope going around with lots of everyone that's inherited at least some form of place up to where she is now in P17 as they go through the chicane of Falstons and down towards Hilltop. You can see Mr. Nunes there already pulling a gap of half a second after the first half a lap. So where is Jeff? He is down here as well. Of course, the HFG wonderful man himself, as he now takes us down. And again, it looks like, to be fair, Harry, these do look slow. So what I am going to do is I'm also going to treat us to the basic HUD as well at some point, just so we can see how much these drivers are lifting and coasting at times there. You can see Denise there is running a lot of damage. What she might choose to do is pit, and that then may neutralise her race altogether, because if she's 2 laps in there, Harry, for at least 4 minutes, shall we say, that's her back in the race, and she can probably push for the whole race. So Chucky Harris then, yellow flag, he's around at the chicane, he's back running again. And again, these drivers here, this is not so important on this occasion, because at the end of the day it's about making it to the end, not gaining the positions. As you can see there that Ian Hall leads Yerst as they go down towards and start their first timed racing lap for this event. And not that it really matters, but Mr. Real there setting the fastest lap for that outlap of 4 minutes and 51 seconds. I suspect we may see those times drop down over the course of this next lap. Yellow flag on circuit again. Looks like Jackie Harris there is facing the wrong way. I don't know what happened to him there, and like I say, I can't use the replay feature at the moment. He's now doing a 3-point turn down towards Lodge Corner, so he's back on his way again. Again, not the end of the world for these drivers. Denise Pope's chose not to pit, which is well, obviously she's banking on getting the positions early on as well. And you can see that gap there actually between the car number 15 and as he leads the start of that pack, and then the leaders there, Harry. You've got Nunes all the way down to Yerst, in fact, as Irwin now is also causing a yellow flag. Where's he gone? He is, wait for the TV man to be with me, he looks like he's in the corner there. And is he on his way again? There he is, he's on his way again, down behind Denise Pope. So that's on board with the race leader then, who's battling in towards the chicane. This is interesting, Harry. I did not expect to see battling this early on, given the fact that tyre consumption is going to be so important. You can see in the rearview mirror there of Barnett looking in Nunes's his rear end there. Is he going to try and make a move around the outside here, do you think?
Yeah, it's, like I say, there's a few little battles going on. I same as you, I didn't expect it all so soon. You got a few groups of 2 just pretty close to each other. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this pans out, whether they are going to calm down after the first few minutes is out of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I have just noticed as well is the custom liveries haven't loaded properly, because there's one I was definitely looking for, and it's not there. So again, don't know what's quite going on there, because I went through them at the start of the race and saw them all, and Nunes pulls a bit of a gap down towards lap 1. Looks like it's sector 2 and 3 is where he's losing time, given his last sector times as well. If just jump on board with that, yeah, he's definitely losing time. In fact, he's losing time in all sectors to the car behind. So what he's got to do now is make that BMW as wide as he possibly can. These three are definitely in a league of their own. But speaking of league of their own, you've got Ian Hall here catching up with Conrado, the driver himself, heading down towards the Shell Oils corner, and then not too far behind that is Yerst, so he'll be using Ian as a tow. But as I was saying earlier, look at the gap if I go on board with the helicopter at, between the last car, and that's not the line you want to be taking. That's a lot of damage that's going to be causing there. I'm surprised we've not got a cracked windscreen. We may even see a return to garage on this occasion there for Mateus, the car number 15, who is now dropping down the order, and that was actually, I think, an alt F4, which is always a shame to see, and it's always nice when these drivers try and make it to the end, but never mind, as we're now on board with Ian Hall as he now goes down towards the chicane, and he's not giving up on taking Conrado as soon as he can. Looks like there's a bit of a battle going up there with Nunes as well. You can see in the rearview mirror there, I was saying earlier, Harry, sector 2 seems to be his weakness, and that's where the BMW behind. Every car's a BMW, probably should stop referring it to as a BMW, but the car number 73 there, all over the back of Mr. Nunes' rear end as he now takes us down towards this fantastic part of the track, down towards Druids Corner, and of course you've got Lodge Corner as well at the end. So there you are, and 1, 2 and 3 lead. Looks like P3, P4 and 5 are actually catching up as well, Harry. They're in the same camera shot now as well, with Yerst in the background there coming around the corner.
Yeah, slowly dropping the gap between them. To be honest, it'd probably be a sensible idea to keep as it is and let them 3 cars in the front come to them rather than.
I think we're going to see a move here as he. Oh no, he thinks better of it. I thought Mateus. Look at that. So it's probably going to be side by side now, going down towards the complex of Cascades as well. So this is really going to be tight here. On board on the helicopter there when he wakes up, the cameraman there half asleep, and Nunes still takes the lead, but what that has done is left the door open for real, not too far behind. He's now closer to Mateus than what Nunes is, so he's now gone from attacking to having to defend. And I just see there, look at the track map on the right hand side of your screen, ladies and gents, you'll see the gap that car number 37 has got to the car number 87 already. They really are opening up, and they do seem to be in a league of their own. But as I said earlier, this is a fuel management race and not a pace race, so we'll see exactly whether these drivers regret these decisions they have got. Mr. Nunes takes us now through the chicane of Volston's down towards Hilltop, and then of course into the chicane of Knickerbrook and Clay Hill. And you can see there the BMW is not giving up. See, I really thought Harry would be seeing more fuel conservation than this. If I just put the hood back up on your screen as well, you'll see that these drivers are not being that cautious with the throttle. They're definitely planting their foot on the exits of corners.
Yeah, they are. Alex Nunes, a bit of a sticky situation really. If he wants to defend, he's got to keep the throttle on for as long as he can.
Well, I mean, every race I've ever won, Harry, is not because I'm the fastest on track, but it's because I plant a car where people can't get by me, and it almost looks as though that's what he's doing, because I'm not the fastest on track by any stretch of the imaginations, and I know Alex Nunes is particularly quick. Oh, he's round. The car number 73 is round. Looks like there was some contact there from Real. Looks like he was too busy focused on the front. He is facing the wrong way, and he's down in P5 now, so he's going to be behind Yerst as well. No, Yerst is just coming around in front of him, and you've got Ian Hall that's going to take that position as well, so that really has absolutely crippled Mr. Barnett there, and I'd love to know what happened. And in fact, what we might try and do as well is let's just see exactly what happened there. We'll go on board with a helicopter. Oh, he touches the bumper as he goes around. I thought there was some contact, and he puts him in the gravel. However, that's not going to affect him too much because he's now in P5 and his pace is incredible. Now, one thing we have missed, Harry, and I'm unsure how to go about reviewing this, and what I must say as well is that replay feature there was excellent. That worked perfectly. I don't know whether you could see that on your screens, but that was absolutely fantastic what we just saw there. But moving forward, I've just noticed that Yerst is now ahead of Ian Hall. Do we know what happened there?
I noticed that while I was watching that little bout between the top 3 at the time. I don't know what happened. I'll try and have a look.
Now, the beauty of these cars is they're not particularly aero sensitive. They're wrong. They require some form of aerodynamics, as all racing cars do, unless of course you're in a Formula V car and iRacing. But the damage here is more going to be mechanical related. It's not like driving the McLaren, for example, where if you get a light tap you feel it all the time. So hopefully that's not affected the battle that we'll see, because Mr. Barnett's now got a recovery drive on his hands, but of course he can't push too far to catch up because he's got to save fuel. Let's not forget about this backpack we've got going on here as well, Harry. We've got Denise Pope there, who's on a recovery mission after getting tapped at the start of the race. She found herself backwards in the barriers. We've got a yellow flag there from DJ, who is also round at the corner. Let's see what happened to him as he's side by side here with the 125 car. Looks like he's gone to cut his nose off, is what I think's going to happen here, Harry. Yeah, and exactly that. Although the 125 there was a lot further back and no part of his car was alongside him there, so that's one for the stewards to have fun with at the end of this race.
Yeah, I missed that while I was trying to find out what happened with Mr. Hall. My replay function is not working quite as well as what I think yours is.
Well, at least that's the right way around, I suppose, on this occasion. David Hilbert there, a HFG regular. He's finds himself in P10. Looks like he's managing his pace nicely. He's got a nice gap behind him and a nice gap in front, which is exactly the situation I want to find himself in. I've just noticed that we've gone from a big leaders gap there, indeed. Conrado there as well. He looks like he's about to launch an attack. Looks like we've got the back marker in the way there as well between the two of them. And of course you've got, yes, the car number 37 in P4. He's leading this new pack, and you can see already, look how much Barnett's closed that gap up. And that's quite remarkable already to have done that. So Yers now, if he's sensible, will defend like a lion, because he knows that Barnett can't use too much more fuel.
Real making a move on Alex Nunes.
And he's
side by side.
They're side by side there as they're now coming towards and then down towards Lodge Corner through Druids. Now you can see there the car number 13, that's the one that belongs to Mr. Nunes, and he has been passed there for the first position, and you can see he's not going to give up too easily. He's all over the back of him still, and this battle is far from over. You can see there Nunes' car, the setup on that BMW was way more pointy than the car in front. It just seemed to point and shoot, that did, unlike the real BMW there. The car number 25 looked like it had a little bit of understeer on that occasion, as these two now take us round on what's going to be their 7th racing lap this evening.
Yeah, 7th lap just started. See how many they can get done.
Well, that's of course, if you're just joining us in the chat, good evening. And these drivers have no fuel available to them during the race, so they've got to make themselves go. It's about 10 litres short they're going to be, so they've got some fuel management to do during this race. As you can see, the BMW there, 25, leaning right over. That looked fantastic from the off-board camera there as he came around the side. I wonder what that looked like from his position there. Let's just have a quick look as he takes us through here. You can see the look of the BMW there shaping up there, almost drifting through that corner, which is absolutely fantastic to see. These cars obviously capable of doing that. They're not far off race car. Darren, I thought we were seeing you on the grid this evening. I noticed Kurt's on the grid there, the car number 87. He's doing well. He's managing his pace nightly, managing his fuel, and he's currently sat in P7. As there is in a little three-way at the moment, actually, as they now go down towards the chicane. And I thought
one for your Roffe. Barnett just made a move on Yerson's got past, and you got Ian Hall closing in at a rapid rate of knots. Well,
we know Ian Hall was faster than Yerst actually earlier on, and Ian must have made, I don't want to make any assumptions, but I'm guessing he's made some form of mistake because he found himself a couple of seconds back. So we know he's faster, but Yerst will not make it easy for him. Of course, these two are teammates over at QRT, and they're not going to make it easy for each other at all. I'd like to think that they're better than coming together. But they certainly they'll certainly exchange a few moves. It won't just be a case of sailing by, I would have thought.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a good little battle to watch over the next few laps. Whether they settle down and just exchange a couple of places every now and then.
Life got in the way, Darren.
Sensible thing to do.
I can relate to that, Darren, far too much at the minute. So It's all good with you anyway. It'd be good to see you back on track sooner rather than later, as Ian there takes a little bit too much curb what he would like to have done there, and finds himself chasing Yerst down towards on his 8th racing lap as well. Nunes is back up into P2. He's closed the gap down to 2/10. Looks like he took some dirt there on the grass. You can see him now as he's going to take us through the bend of Shell Oil's corner, and these two drivers really are not going to give it up. It looks like he was going to try and go around the outside. Nunes definitely got a better exit there. Let's roll on the rear wing with Real there, because you can see Nunes is not giving up here, and these two drivers have got to conserve fuel at some point during this race, and yet, Harry, I've not yet seen them try and serve any sort of fuel.
No, I don't think I've seen any car on the grid that's conserving fuel in the slightest, and yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see what strategy these lot are playing. I think all the ones that we suggested have pretty much gone out the window.
I don't know. I think you've got oh, big crash back here by the looks of things. We've got multiple yellow flags, and let's have a look what's happened there. Oh, he spins it around. Let's just go back 15 seconds to see what happened there. Looks like we've got a rejoin here from Kurt Bradway, just as I complimented him as well, as he tries to make his way through the bales there on the side there. Looks like that actually would look like a completely separate incident altogether, and see exactly how that looked.
Little coming together there has promoted Denise Pope up into P9.
Yeah, and as we know, she's on the recovery race as it is anyway, after it looked like she got a little bit of a tap at the start, in fact. And she's doing quite well there too. I've not served that damage. That's looking like the right decision for her. Because I think if you'd pitted to repair your damage, you're going to be talking, what, a 2-minute pit stop. So that immediately puts you a lap behind, which I know at the end of the race that may come back into play, but it's hard to convince yourself that that's a good option when everyone else is a lap ahead of you at the start.
Yeah, it's, if you go back to Yerst and Ian, they're a little bit closer now, and Ian's definitely got a better drive coming out of that corner. It's better them to be side by side.
Now these are two very, very clean drivers that will battle with each other all race long, and the thing is, when you're battling in this situation here, especially as they're coming up now towards Shellow's corner, is the fact that they're going to conserve the fuel, which I know we keep mentioning, but these drivers are going to be so fixed on these battles they're in, they're going to forget to save fuel at some point, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, they will. There's like I said before, there's a lot of little groups formed on the track, and they are going to get carried away. It's racing instinct.
Looks like Irwin and DJ are having to battle here again, as the car number 9 there takes a lunge in towards Shellow's corner. Denise Pope's got a nice little run down there. We've got a yellow flag there. Oh, that's a damaged BMW that is. You can see on the rear wing there that 102 car there not having the best of starts. Matt Barnett then, remember, he was your pole sitter and a race leader at one point, but had a coming together on a Lodge corner earlier on, which we did see happen, and he's now on a recovery drive. He's 4 seconds off the leader. He's got to get past Conrado, Nunes and Real to make up the places where he was, as Yerst is still defending Ian Hall, and this little battle here is going to go on for a few laps unless we see a mistake from either driver. Mistakes are rare, as we know. Looks like Jeff's about to make a move as well on the car number in front, which is a DJ. So let's just see exactly what things look like from his perspective. You can see his rearview mirror there. The car behind is a long way back. Ian Hall is a 10th behind. Looks like the side by side here, Harry. This looks pretty. Oh, this is going to be very interesting here as they come down there. I think Ian Hall's going to have the line. He is, and yes, just he has to just drift out a little bit wider than he was to cover off Ian's bumper. You can see that now. Ian is now going to be after Barnett and Conrado. So yes, just needs to stick with these two, and if he can, they'll pull him along. But you can see the gap already. I mean, Harry, he's got a 12-second gap, so he can afford to save a second a lap. Which is probably what he needs to do for fuel saving as well. So these drivers here have already covered their fuel margins off with an hour and 17 to go.
Yeah. Who's that? Ian's passing the back marker, car 96. Yes, won't want him in the way too long. We want to try and hold on to the back of Ian as much as he can, just drag him along nicely.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Yerst is very good at close racing. I mean, I witnessed him on Saturday, in fact, in a race where he had a car behind him that was never more than half a second behind him for 2 hours. He did two 1-hour stints. back to back, and the car behind was never more than half a second behind him at any point, and he didn't put a single foot wrong. So yes, he's very good in those close driver situations. Indeed, yellow flag there from the car number 242, which I believe belongs to Jeff. Looks like he's come around. Very, very commonplace to be seeing cars off on his grass here, Harry, which is surprising because it's not the place I would have thought we'd have seen cars off. I wonder exactly what he encountered there. Oh, it looks like he's got out of the way for the back markers and took too much curb.
No, that's disappointing for him. Like you say, it's not the not necessarily the trickiest part of the track, and it's strange to see a few incidents in that same location.
It is, and Mr. Nunes as well has now gone for the fuel management option because he's managing his pace. I can see that his pace has dropped off. It's not that the car in front is pulling away, so he's gone for the pace management option now, which you can't blame him. Of course, limited fuel is available. And if you're just joining us now, these cars have got 2 sets of tyres, and of course they've only got the 1 tank of fuel, which makes things very interesting. Very interesting indeed, because they're going to be about 10 to 15 litres short for a full race around here. So we're going to see various types of tyre management. And of course, if you didn't know, these cars do not have an ECU management system. You cannot change the engine map, you cannot change the engine mode. Everything has got to be done with your right foot, and we'll see exactly how that looks towards the end of this race. Just looks like he's just keeping on to the end of Ian Hall there. Ian's pulling away, and of course these two drivers know each other very well, and Ian will now be setting off after Barnett, and that gap's already come down to 6 seconds. That may be something to do with the back markers that we're now facing. 17 cars still on the grid. Mr. Cooper there, the car number 96, is number 17, but again having a good race. And of course you cannot judge people's pace at the moment because there are so many varying strategies around here today. We really don't know what we're going to see. Denise Pope's on all over the back of David Hallburn. Now let's draw on the back with his rear wing, see what this is going to look like. Denise comes down now, she thinks better of it, and she's going to follow it along. Of course she's already been burnt in this race once at the start, so she's going to be very careful where she's making these moves for the rest of this race. Yellow flag there from Barnett. It looks like he's facing the wall. It looks like it's the same corner he had the off earlier, Harry. Let's just see what happened to him there. Good amount of curb. That's fine. Oh, it just goes. It just goes. No grass or curb involved. It just goes on him as he finds himself facing the barrier. So, of course, that's promoted some drivers up. He's down in P6. And unfortunately, that's the second time we've seen him off in that corner this race.
Yeah, it's going to be frustrating for him. A couple of incidents in the race. It sounds like that last little off wasn't necessarily his fault. It's more the car. It
could be, and of course he could be running some damage from that early attack we saw today.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not necessarily forced to be a driver input error. I had his HUD open on my other screen, and there was no particular worrying inputs or anything like that. So it may just be a case of he was running some damage earlier. And of course, the thing is with these cars, and I know from personal experiences, when you get the aero damage and things like that, you don't necessarily feel it straight away. And it's not until you come to a corner where you take it like you normally do, and then you think, hang on a minute, that's not right. And before you know it, you're in a wall. I know, for example, Barcelona, for example, turn 3, if you're running aero damage and you don't feel it, and you try and go around there flat out, and all of a sudden your car slips on you, there's nothing you can do about it because you don't know that damage is there. So you don't always know the damage is there until you come to a particular part of the track or take a particular line, for example. So that may be what's happened to him there. He may have gone and taken the line like he normally does, and the car's not the car that he's used to, isn't there, for example.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just looking at his car now. He's got a bit of front and rear end damage, so it is definitely going to be affecting him on some of the corners more than others, like you just said.
Yeah, without a doubt, and that level of damage he's now got, I would be surprised if we don't see him pitting. But again, pitting's not a bad thing when you're limited on fuel.
Yeah, that's right. I think he's going to probably struggle to make up the 2 places that he lost with that spin, and it might be the wiser option just to plug away for a bit and just maintain his position and hope that some people aren't been so kind on their fuel later on.
Yeah, exactly. And just thought actually we're missing one regular HFG driver that I've noticed that's missing is Chris Davis, but I think he's actually in Paris. So if you're watching, Chris, good evening. Hope you're having a nice time. And I've never known a man to travel the world in such a short space of time as you have in the last couple of months. So hope you're enjoying yourself. And popped across to the tennis final, actually. I understand Adele won that, and I'm sorry if I've just ruined that for anybody, as I thought that as I was saying that. But no, I understand he had a good race. And speaking of motorsports today, one of the highlights today was, I don't know whether you saw the MotoGP race there. Spargo there, his home race, racing for the charity that his daughter's receiving treatment for. And he crossed the line thinking he'd finished the race and celebrated and waved to the crowd. And then all of a sudden, when 5 bikes went by him, he realised that there was one more lap left and actually ended up finishing P5. So I was absolutely gutted for him today. So that's a real shame for him. And that's the highlight of the motorsporting today. And of course, we've got Le Mans next week. But back more onto current affairs. Denise Pope.
Oh, and a bit of a four-way battle forming with Denise Pope in the middle.
Yeah, we have, because the car there goes a little bit wide.
Make that a two-way battle.
Make that a three-way battle reserved in a moment. So Denise Pope now is all over the back of the car number. Is it the number 10? I think that is, which is Irwin. These two obviously have seen each other a lot on track before, and I'm just waiting for them to cross the next timing beam so the leaderboard sorts itself out. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxuries here. I was hoping to bring actually some new graphics to my broadcasting this evening, but unfortunately, they don't seem to work when you're in broadcast mode, only when you're in driver mode. So I need to look at that for the next race, but I can still view the information, I just can't share it. So Pope's now all over the back of Irwin as they go down towards Lodge Corner. Takes a bit wider there than what he wants to. You can see the car in the background there, which I think is David Hulbert's car. It was P10, still P10, but just lost a couple of positions there. So Denise will be on a mission now. We know Denise, she's a very, very good racer. She's the team owner of Wild Things, as you can see that Wild Things resemblance there in BMW as they now come up towards the end. I assume the cars in the draft use less fuel. Yes, they do. And also, one of the big things as well, Ian Hall pointed out to me earlier, lots of people, this includes in real life, put their car into neutral and think that they're going to save fuel, but actually that uses more fuel than leaving it in gear and taking your foot off the accelerator, because then the gears are doing the work for you. So again, not that I'm saying that these drivers have got a stick shift, for example. I know Jost has got one, but I suspect he's probably not using it. I bet he's using his paddles. But that is another tactic. But yeah, they will be using less camera angles. That's because I'm reading your comment. They will be using less fuel at the time as well. So the car's now come through. That cameraman there is always asleep when we come with him. He takes a while to wake up. You see Denise there going through the curve and down towards the chicanes as well. So at the moment, Mr. Irwin there, Gruber Irwin, is doing everything he needs to do at the moment to make that car stay exactly where it is. And I am gutted these custom liveries haven't come through, because I think there was 4 of them and they all looked absolutely fantastic. On it there as he now comes through down towards the end. They're on board with Jeff at the moment, and he is in P14 having a very good race indeed. And as we said earlier, you're not really going to know. So you had a flag there for Jackie Harris, who has decided to cut the grass at the end of the circuit. Drew his corner down towards Lodge Corner, and again he is up into P16 with Matt Cooper down there in P17. But again, managing the fuel, different strategies available to them. You would think now, if I look to the gap to the leader, in fact, I would have thought that we're going to see your gap to leader there is 1 lap plus 39 seconds for him. So I would have thought it would be fair to say he's not going for the win, but he may be going for a top 10 finish with that strategy if that's what he's using. And Mr. Nunez there is 3 seconds off the leader, and Conrado, Ian Hall and Jost between 18 and 22 seconds. So this race now starting to pan out a little bit more, and strategies are coming to end. And I think what we're seeing here, Harry, actually is the start of the fuel saving.
Yeah, it's even looking at the track map, everyone's a lot more spread out than it was in the last kind of 20 minutes or so from the green lights. Yeah, I've certainly, you're right in saying the strategies are starting to come out now.
But they are, and I mean,
where they want.
You've got to keep yourself within 3 or 4 seconds of the car in front to make use of the draft, although the draft here is obviously quite weak because there isn't that many straights at all. But it will help a little bit, and it's just keeping that gap indeed. You don't want to be punching a hole through the air with everybody else. I tell you what, let's just ride on board actually with our race leader and see what things look like from his perspective as he's about to start what is going to be his 16th racing lap. And that is a lap around Alton Park with the current race leader. And what you notice there, you can see his right foot actually in the bottom right, left-hand corner of your screen. You could see the lifting and coasting, especially in sector 3 there, and they were lifting a long time before that brake pedal was used indeed. So the tactics have started already, but it is remarkable that he's got a 3-second gap to Alex Nunes already, and he's also fuel saving. I suspect Nunes will be as well. And like I say, these drivers, when they can do the maths in their head, so the last 20 minutes, and they can work out what they need, that's when they'll decide to go for it or not. So you don't want to leave it too long. If you leave it to the last 10-15 minutes, there's no point, because you're not going to close the gap. But the last 30 to 20 minutes, that's when you'll start to see things perking up. We've got about an hour left of this race. We've had about 35 minutes been and gone, and things are just starting to space out a little bit now, as we mentioned earlier, and the strategies are starting to show. Bit of a battle forming here, Harry, between Kurt Bradbury and Jeff, the car 87 and 242. Last lap time there for Jeff was 4 seconds faster than Kurt, so Kurt must have had it off. It was an invalid time as well, so whether Jeff's got the pace now to stick with him or whether Kurt will build that gap up again, I don't quite know.
Yeah, it's probably the only potential little battle starting to form on the track.
Yes, so
see whether Jeff can start closing that gap a little bit and give us something to get excited about.
So Kurt crosses the line and does a 1 at 54.727, and Jeff crosses the line with a 1 at 53.5. So Jeff is definitely faster, but only in certain parts of the track. I mean, Kurt's last lap time was a 29 seconds in the first sector, and against Jeff's 27. So Jeff really needs to close that gap in sector 1 and then capitalise on it before the end of the lap, because if he gets around to the start of the next lap again, you just find yourself in that repeat loop chain where you can't actually get by, and you just find yourself gaining, and all you're doing then is damaging your tyres, following the car too closely behind, and actually you're just better off backing off a little bit and sitting in that 4 or 5 second window.
Yeah, that's right, and maybe that's what Jeff is going to start doing, just sit where he is and hope for the best.
I think that's what you've got to do in some respect, because if you think about it, we've got an hour left, and I was just picked up on my screen actually that David Hulber is about to be come under pressure from a DJ, and of course Irwin as well. This battle here is picking up with Barnett. Let's just ride on board with this a minute. Let's come aboard the helicopter and see what this looks like from this perspective. We know Barnett's running damage, but that gap there to the 125 car is now down to half a second, and it looks far more planted there than the BMW in front. It seems to be a little bit wide. Like I say, we know it's running damage indeed. So let's see how this develops over the next lap. In fact, let's do a ride on board then with Mr. Lakeso himself and see what things look like. Lots of lifting and coasting going on, Harry. Lots of lifting and coasting.
Put the hood on and I'll have a look myself.
Before most corners, we've got quite a bit of lifting going on now, so of course it's getting the exits of the corners right. And to be fair, losing speed into corners, it's always best to be slow in and fast out, so it's the right place to be doing it, that's for sure. It's almost like watching a slow motion race.
It is, yeah. Hulbert and DJ are a little bit closer this time.
They're a little bit closer around. They're actually not far behind the other two on the track as well.
DJ was over a second quicker on the last lap as well.
Yeah, which is the same situation we've currently got with Barnett and Lakeso indeed, but I think what's happening with Barnett is he can control the car, but there's an element of unpredictability with it because the damage that he's carrying, so he's going to have to be really careful. He's actually gaining on Yerst as well. He's 2.6 seconds back now of Yerst, so Yerst will have to defend, but I suspect the dirty air of the car in front may also affect him as well, so how much closer he can get to the car in front, only time will tell. DJ and Hulbert are still all together, and Barnett and Lakeso, you can see, are going to come together again. Let's run on board with the helicopter. The trees are going to get in the way a little bit here, But then there shouldn't be too much of a move there. Oh, he's gone wide. He's gone wide. Lake's gone wide there, and now he's just done all his good work. So that battle now is going to reset and reform. And what that does do is actually buy Barnett a little bit more time, as DJ's a lot closer to Mr. Hulber this time round. On his rear wing, you can see he's making his way around the outside there. That's going to be a good exit for the number 9 car there, you can tell already. And it's going to be alongside him, I think, as we're now going towards the fine oil shells corner. They're going to come side by side through here, do we think? Oh no, he's just going to tuck back in again, dab on the brakes, and had to back out of that attempt there. That would have been a great move there. Hulberg goes wide on the grass. Can he get it stopped before he touches the barrier? He does, just at the expense of locking the rear tyres, which of course, to be honest, I think most of us would rather do than end up in that brick wall. We've just done all that for no reason, but never mind. And we're now right on board with the helicopter, and as you can see him back underway. So that battle there is inherited them positions here. It looks like Joost has dropped some pace here as well. He was last lap time was a 52 as the car.
Barnett's just gone past him, and he's got Lake Sue.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to Joost here. I think he may have just probably just had a little bit of an off lap, I think, by the looks of things. But the problem with it is once you have an off lap, the driver behind catches up, and then it's hard to break that toe again. So, yes, definitely looks like he's back on form again now. But this little three-way battle there is far from over, and he looks like he's just
a little bit of a tap there, I think.
Look like it. So let's see what things look like as they come down towards the corner himself. Yes, just needs to stick with these two. Remember, they're running damage, and remember, they're going to use more fuel because they've been battling. So yes, just needs to bide his time here as they now come down towards the hairpin itself. And yes, he's just going to bump it. He's just gone from P5 to P7, so he's got a little bit of motivation in him now, but you can see Barnett's there already pulling away again with all that damage he's running, so just needs to stick with the car 125. I think a mistake will come soon, and yes, can then make his way back up, but in this situation, I'd rather be the car behind. At least I can manage my fuel better.
Yeah, exactly. Keep himself here, keep them in sight, but nothing too crazy.
Oh, a quick look across the field. Everything's pretty spaced out now, and everyone's sort of in their zone, and we're not really going to see many moves. And I'll tell you what we haven't factored into this, Harry. This track is particularly easy to get a drive-through penalty on. You've got turn 1, yeah, this one here, on board with the leader now. Run too wide here, you pick up a drive-through penalty. The last turn, you pick yourself up a drive-through penalty. And of course, you've got the 2 chicanes. If you don't leave off enough space there on the accelerator, you'll pick yourself up a track cut as well. So that's going to come into play, I'm sure. And the only reason it reminded me is I've just seen the leader run very wide there. He'll have definitely picked up a track cut warning for what he's just done. So that's something else I need to factor in. And of course, although it sounds counterproductive, dare I say it, we may even need to be able to see, maybe see some deliberate drive-through penalties to save some fuel. So let's see exactly where Kurt Bradbury is in his the car is a little bit of in-car. So should we look at him, or should we look behind? Let's look behind him. As you can see there, comes in towards the chicane. Going to loop things up very nicely on the apexes there, left and then a right. You can see there, foot flat on the floor there, lifts off there to get the car to point in the right direction, and back on the gas down towards Clay Hill and Druids Corner now. So these drivers are definitely conserving the fuel. You can see he's making his way down towards Druids Corner now. He's going to make the braking point absolutely bang on, I'm sure, as he has done. He's having a good race, to be fair to Kurt. He has lost a position or two, but obviously that's going to happen during a race. And of course, this race is far from over, which is a familiar saying at the moment. Oh, it sounds like the front right was locking there. He certainly wasn't lifting for that corner, so he's obviously not worried about the fuel management that the other drivers are at the minute, so he's going to keep pushing. What's this lap time going to be? It's going to be a 52.7, so that is faster than the 3 cars in front of him. He has got a 4-second gap to the car in front, so if he keeps that up, he'll be doing well for himself. So he just needs to keep in that groove that he's got now. Let's just watch his right foot and have a listen as he comes down towards here now. Yeah, there's definitely substantial list in there as he comes down. You can see his targets in front of him now. I'm just looking at Joost, who's now 4 seconds off where well, Lexi was. The only thing I can think of, Harry, with Joost is he's looked down at his average fuel consumption and gone, oh dear, I need to save some fuel.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, to be honest. He's probably got to that stage where he's wondering, how the hell am I going to get to the end of this race?
I mean, he'll be thinking if only these were Formula E cars where I can brake and harvest more battery life.
Yeah.
We'll stay on board with Kurt, Darren. We'll keep switching back to him. We'll just jump on board with David as well, who had a little bit of an off, and that is Kurt's next target, in fact. And if we go on board with his rear wing, you'll probably see him soon because he's 4 seconds back. You can see him there just coming down the hill, actually. And this battle is definitely alive because Kurt is about 1.5 seconds faster than David, so that battle is definitely coming alive indeed. Check in with Jackie Harris then as well, who is down in P16. And as he runs a left and a right down towards Druid's corner, and a little bit of a race for him. And of course then you've got Matt Cooper as well, the metalhead himself. It's a great camera angle that as the cars come through there. And I'm just looking actually now, Barnett has got Mr. Lakesu there for company. I just noticed that flashed on my screen that he was within half a second. So this battle's very much on now. Yerst will be secretly hoping these two take each other out, which of course we don't want to see. But that's the nature of racing. Sometimes you've got to have a bit of luck in your favour. And this is the close.
You beat me to it there, Roffe. I was just about to say Lakesu and Barnett.
So let's see what they do, because the exit of these two corners is going to be perfect. And I think it's fair to say, let's wait until we see the front of that BMW front there. But I suspect, yeah, look at the damage she's running on the front there. So he's definitely got a disadvantage. And Yerst is definitely saving fuel because he's putting in mid 52s now, which is off the pace from where he was earlier. So he's definitely looked down at his HUD and gone, oh, hang on a minute, I need to just make sure I make it to the end of this race. Although, to be fair, that Barnett's getting that BMW to do exactly what he wants it to do. He's certainly not struggling with the front end at all.
No, he's managing his damage very, very well.
And of course, what this battle here is doing now is it's allowing Ian Hall, who's currently set in P4, to have a bit of a race on his own. He's currently got a 4-second gap in front and a 4-second gap behind. So he's going to be loving life as it stands at the moment, because he's going to be thinking to himself, well, I'll just save a bit of fuel at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. He's got no one to worry about at all, other than him, his car, and most importantly, his fuel.
Well, that's where we're not going to see things until it unravels at the end. I'm just looking where Yerst is now. His last lap time was a 51.4, so he has picked up the pace again a little bit. So just wondering what's gone on there. Whether he's had a bit of an issue or whether he could just be saving fuel, and that's the downside of being in the comms box. We just don't know. If it was an endurance race, we'd have some of the drivers in the interview box as well, giving us some feedback from the track, as that back marker there just is in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think that's Matt Cooper, who did a perfect job of getting out of the way, and it wasn't his fault where he was, but that is a very untidy exit there for Barnett there in the 73, and the 125 is going to be all over him. Let's just go on board with his rear wing. He's going to try and pull out, I think, down towards Druid's corner. Don't come together, gents, as they're now going to all over the back of him. You can see how narrow this track is. He dips onto the grass there. They're going to be side by side as he comes towards Druid's corner, and he backs out and thinks better of it. And the cameraman there, once again, fast asleep on the corner. And we're going to see exactly what they look like now as they come around the final corner as well. Let's switch to a wider camera angle and see what things look like. Kurt Bradbury is now 6 seconds off David. He's closing that gap still. Well, both of them run right there. I would have thought the 73 there would have picked up a track cut there for that one. Still got the fastest lap, mind you, with a what's he got, a 1:49.4. Now, interesting stat round here, Harry, is the speed trap. So this is where you can really tell what sort of setups you've got, if you like, or what limited setup you've got with the M2. So the fastest at the moment on track is Mr. Nunes with a 194 kilometres an hour. He's set as it stands at the moment. And everyone else is in either the 190s or the 192. So again, that 1 kilometre an hour will be just keeping him nice and neatly in front there. And of course, that could have been triggered by a bit of bump draft and a bit of slipstream, which of course we have seen throughout. So it is funny how the two drivers with 194 on their things are the two drivers that suffered from the slipstream earlier today. This battle's going to go on for quite some time, I think, Harry, because Barnett there is the faster driver, but he's got the damaged car, so all he's got to do is plant that car in the most awkward position possible, and the other one will not be getting by.
Yeah, that's right. But similarly as well, like I said earlier, Lakesu, if he just keeps the pressure on Barnett, probably force him into a mistake at some point and causing him, not enabling him to lift and coast probably as much as he would like to at this point in the race.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I struggled to get my words out then.
It's fine, I'm used to it, it's not a problem. Sorry, someone was just trying to get hold of me and I just needed to see who it was. And I'm just going to leave you on board then with the race leader, who's got Mr. Nunes closing the gap behind him. So let's just run aboard with him for a couple of seconds, just while I deal with this. So I am back with us. We've got 50 minutes left of this race. We're on board with the race leader, who's catching up with some back markers at the back here. Doing a very good job of managing his pace. Barnett's little battle here still going on. You can see in the rear view mirror there of Barnett, you can see Lakesy there looking to make that move, and he's waiting for that mistake. And to be fair to Barnett, he hasn't made many. So all I am going to say though is, Harry, he can't afford to keep the fuel consumption as it is. If I'm just looking at his bottom right now of the screen, you can see his hood. You can see he's lifting early. He's lifted very early for that corner, and the other cars are as well. But he can't afford to accelerate out the corners like he is doing for much longer, because of course that's where your biggest fuel consumption is, on the acceleration of the corners. You can see here he'll lift early here. He's lifting there. Brake doesn't come on until about 2 seconds later. So there's definitely some lifting and coasting going on.
Yeah, there is. In a minute, you got Lakesy. He's the fastest car on track, closely followed by Mr. Barnett, and then it looks as though Mr. Ian Hall.
Yeah, Ian Hall there. He's closing the gap on Conrado there, just in front. He'll be doing it slowly though. I mean, the thing is, these drivers, you just don't know what pace they're capable of as it stands at the moment. I've just noticed that Kurt's down there, still maintaining that 6-second gap to David, so he's not made any progress there just yet. Here we are, Jitsu then, the car number 17. He's having a nice little race as well, managing his pace nicely. Really happy with that progress so far. I should think Denise Pope then started. I don't know where she started actually. She's
Oh, Lakesy and Barnett side by side round this corner. Who's going to get the better exit?
Let me just.
Barnett's still got a better exit at the moment.
I'll just run you through the grid positions as well. So the most place gained actually is Lakesy himself, who started P12 and he's up into P6. And then you've got DJ and Real there, who's gained 7 places, and David Hulbert there, who's gained 4. Denise Pope is currently where she started, and Irwin's lost 2, and Barnett's lost 4. And the most lost positions as it stands at the moment is Saplaki there, the car 102, who has lost 6 positions, currently sat in P11, and is currently looking quite lonely on the track.
Like many of the drivers at the moment, everyone's got a bit of track to themselves.
They have, and what they'll be doing now, they're all on the same strategy now. They're getting as close to the end as they can before they can afford to push, is what's happening now. "45 minutes of this race left to go, and the closest battle we've still got on track at the moment is this Barnett Lakesy battle. And again, we said earlier, how long can Barnett keep up this pace with his fuel management? Because the car behind here has the easy job, because he can see when the car in front's lifting. So he's going to lift as well. So he's going to lift that a little bit earlier. So in theory, he's going to balance it out. And of course, the other thing as well that's going to matter here is setups. These drivers will have those tyres, rather than set up for response, they're going to be set up for rolling resistance, I would imagine. So they can actually get a little bit more on the lifting and coasting. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how this all pans out. But these drivers now are all saving fuel, and I suspect we'll start seeing some more green sector times pop up in the last 20 to 25 minutes of this race, when the drivers can actually work out in their head exactly what fuel they've got left. And of course, there's plenty of fuel calculation apps and everything you can have on your overlay now, and it can tell you whether you're going to make it to the end. One thing I do know for sure, Harry, is if I had crew chief running right now, it would be screaming at me that the fuel is not going to make it to the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, to be honest, even without crew chief, you could probably see it with your own eyes. I can't imagine it's looking particularly pretty right now.
No, and it's just a shame that we can't see what some of these drivers' fuel loads are, because it would be very interesting to see indeed how that looks. And we'll just give us a little bit more of... was it Lakesu that started from the pits? I can't remember who started from the pits, Harry, can you?
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was Lakesu. The only person I can see on my screen that's gone into the pits is Lakesu. So I can only presume it was him that started in the pits.
So his strategist, yeah, it must be.
Very, very well.
I'll tell you why. His driver stint timer is less than everybody else's, so he has been on track less. So in theory, if that was a deliberate strategy, that has played into his position very, very nicely indeed.
Yeah, it really has. From back of the grid up until P6 and battling for P5, he's done well. If he can make this last until the end of the race, then that's going to be some going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely indeed, and let's just see, like I say, how it pans out for him. But I think he's definitely made the right call there, as he's now, my screen is screaming at me of how close he is now to Barnett. Oh, the BMW stepping out there. Did you see that as it came through there? And that looked particularly good indeed. A bit too far back. I'm just going to see if we can see that again. Just watch this BMW here. Watch it step out around that corner as it comes through here. He really did have some tilt on it there. It's just because he caught the grass on the exit, but he did really well to keep hold of that. And he has to come to the left there before he goes up the bankment indeed. Let's see where these two drivers are there now. And he's all over the back of him once again. Barnett there having to defend into the chicane. And again, but the problem with these drivers are going to have here, Harry, as well, is because they're coasting and lifting, they're not braking. I'm surprised. Oh, he's gone wide. He's gone wide. Is that the move that we were waiting for? Is it going to be side by side? And that is the move done and dusted. Lakesu is through. Barnett's going to come back in there. Looks like he got a better run out the corner there. These two are going to be side by side in towards Druid's corner. The 73-125 car are going to be side by side as they're now coming down here in. Oh, he's going to have the inside line. Barnett's going to have the inside line through here. All right, this is going to be particularly interesting. Tuck's back in behind Lakesu. Oh, he's gone wide. Lakesu's gone wide. That is a real shame, because that work is now undone. You can just see here, it's gone ball with the helicopter. Let's hope the trees don't get in the way. But I think Lakes are there. He's just gone in there. He's gone to protect himself from, yeah, and he just drifted out there. His front end's not stuck.
Yeah, that was unlucky from Lakesu there. Just a little bit eager to probably to keep that position that he's been battling for several laps, and yeah, it's just backfired ever so slightly. I'm sure he'll bring it back.
Sorry, I took my headset on there.
Watching that battle for the last few laps, so Lakesu's car definitely started to look a lot more stable than what Barnett's did. Whether that damage is starting to really affect him now.
Yeah, and that could be the case of the car getting lighter as well. But you've got to remember these cars are they're so well modelled that the damage they've actually got may not become a factor until they're actually lighter and running on lower fuel. So again, they've got that to contend with. And this links back to what I said earlier. When you've got a little bit of damage, you've got to be constantly mindful of it, because what you consider a normal line may very quickly not become a normal line. I'm talking from personal experience at Barcelona in turn 3, where all of a sudden the car just didn't want to stay on the track anymore, and it had done for the last 20 laps. So I know the drivers indeed will be considering that. Barnett again, nice little breathing gap now. And what he will be doing, Harry, now if I jump on board with him, I bet you he's lifting and coasting a lot more than what he was doing. Let me just bring up his HUD. I bet as he goes in towards Druids, I bet he's lifting a lot before he's braking. Let's just see what he does. That's a big lift before we break there. That's a big lift indeed. 40 minutes.
Lexu's complete opposite. He's still very much on it.
Well, he knows he needs to either stay in front.
Position.
He needs to tag on the back of the 73 or be in front of it. He knows that. He knows there's no point in being in thin air because that then allows Barnett to control his pace. If he's on the back of Barnett, Barnett has to push. So it's basically the reverse of what you see in Formula 1, where you see drivers trying to force people to use their tyres up. We're trying to force the fuel up is what they're trying to do here instead. So there's some mind games to be played, and like I said with Lake, so we started from the pits and no accusations being made. We're not saying that was a deliberate move, but if it was a fantastic one because he's now set in P6 and he's going to have about 3 litres more fuel than anybody else.
Yeah, that's right. Just looking up to P3 and P4, Ian Hall. He seems to be reeling Conrado in. Last lap times for Ian Hall was 50.4, with Conrado doing a 51.0.
A personal best for Ian as well.
Closing that gap.
That was a personal best for Ian as well. So he's done well. Sorry, I was distracted there. I think there's some shooting going on in the woods behind me, out the window, and it keeps distracting me every time it happens. So I apologise if I go silent every so often, but I'd have to check what's going on. Ian Hall then, so 3 seconds separates him from a podium position. Now I know Ian very well, as do you, Harry, and he'll want that podium position. There'll be no settling for 4th. It'll be a podium position or last for him, and he'll be hunting for it, and he'll be running lots of different strategies through his head, and he'll be trying to come to the conclusion of which is the best. And by the time he's got to that conclusion, he'll be looking down at his fuel gauge and thinking, "Christ, I need to do something."
Yeah, he will. I think for now, though, he's happily plugging away at that gap between him and Conrado.
Well, he's in the groove.
His last lap times are very similar.
He's in the groove. His lap times are consistent, all over the same. He's about 0.2 faster on average than the car in front of Conrado, which of course over 40 minutes is more than enough.
Yeah, it is. He's certainly one of the quickest cars on the track at the moment.
Back markers are doing really well here, I must admit. Barnett's got his friend back for company. If we look on his rear wing now, you can see that Lakesa there is he's just starting to get back in touch again with the BMW, and what he won't do again is he won't make the same mistake twice.
I only hope not. You got a car in the pits, Mr. Cooper. Wonder if that's for damage or tyres.
It could be a retirement. He's currently been in the pits for 28 seconds, so that's not enough for it to be a retirement as it stands at the minute. He's back off the jack and he's running again. He's changed his tyres. Now that is an interesting strategy. That's either going to work really well for him or make him finish last, and we won't know until the checkered flag appears. So let's hope that works out for him, shall we?
Yeah, indeed. He's got a bit of a gap to Jackie Harris to close down now. What's Jackie Harris in the 159 car? I wasn't going to say in a BMW because we all know they're in.
Well, there's 17 on track at the moment, Harry. You're going to have to be a bit more precise than the BMW, unfortunately.
That's rich coming from you, sir.
Well, you know which BMW I'm talking about because I'm pressing the button of which one we're on board, so I don't have that worry. Speaking of which, we're on board with the BMW now, going down towards the chicane, and the Barnett Lakeside battle here. Oh, that's a lot of curve for Barnett. Jesus, he did well to hold that. All that has done is open the door for Lakeside now, coming down towards the chicane. He's going to take a look, but I think he's going to lift. Now, I don't know what I was saying earlier, Harry, before we saw the battle, but what I was trying to say is these drivers are going to have to be particularly skillful here because they're lifting so early. The car in front needs to expect that there's going to be a sudden change in speed, but there's no brake lights to indicate when that change in speed's coming.
Yeah, exactly. You see there from Lake, so he moved slightly offline as you're approaching that corner, presumably to account for the lift and coasting by Barnett.
Was going to be in a position here for switchback. He's definitely got more momentum coming out that corner there. Definitely got more momentum there. As they're now coming down towards Lodge Corner, I think he's going to be a little bit too far back, but can he switch it back once again? And again, he's got more momentum now on this occasion. And as Barnett runs a little bit wide, he gets a little bit slidey. That's definitely going to damage him all the way down now towards turn 1. These two are going to be side by side, and Lakesair's going to have the inside. He's going to tuck back in. Is he going to play the sensible game, or is he going to go, no, that's my position? He keeps it. Barnett gives him the space, side by side. Oh, that was a fair battle. Don't get much fairer than that, Harry.
No, not at all.
I think...
He's playing the long game a little bit now and being sensible with his moves.
Well, Barnett would have been within his rights there to slam the door shut, and he gave him space. So, to be fair, you can't knock him for that. So that's fair racing, that is.
Do not.
That is fair racing. Now, what I have just noticed, Harry, as well, is Nunez's time there, the car number 13. He's just picked up his pace a little bit in the last 5 minutes, and he's now within 2 seconds of the leader.
Yeah, that's right. As the Wizard himself worked out some kind of numbers, and he knows that he's good to.
I don't think he's actually driving the car. He'll have a computer program to drive the car for him.
Yeah, we know Mr. Nunez. He's very skilled.
Side by side as they go out towards the chicane, Harry. BMW is going to have the line on this occasion. Let's jump on board with the helicopter as they go side by side. Barnett's going to have to give the space. He's more than alongside here. Can he get it stopped, though? He can, just in time. Barnett's going to have the inside line and get more momentum on the exit out here, though. So we may see a repeat carbon copy image of what we saw earlier, because Barnett's definitely going to have the momentum out of that corner. And what Lakesair is now going to be trying to cover him off is what he's trying to do, but he can't slam the door shut because his wheel arches are just overlapping as they now come side by side down towards Druid's Corner. I think that's done deal, Harry. Well, Barnett may come back at him in towards Lodge, but I don't think he's going to have the speed now.
I think Barnett's going to try and do a switch back here and get the drive coming out the corner. He's certainly going to stay very much attached to the bumper of Lake Zoo. I do hope I'm pronouncing that name right as well, by the way.
Well, it's a bit late now if we're not, and I apologise if we're not. But that's definitely more momentum as well for Barnett there as he comes out now down towards the chicanes. Cascades, in fact, there's maybe a bit of contact there, but he had to back out there indeed. And they're going to be side by side again. This battle is shaping up to be something special. 30 minutes of this race left now, and these drivers are now going to be working out whether they've got enough fuel to finish the race, A, and B, push. I still think, now we've seen it in action, Harry, my favoured strategy would be to take it easy at the start and push at the end. Is that Lake Zoo going wide there, Harry? It looks like it was, side by side in towards the chicane again. Looks like he's got it back though. But no, my favourite strategy, I think, would definitely be to take it easy at the start and push at the end, I think. Because then you know what you're dealing with. You know what you've got. You know what you need to do to get to the end.
Yeah, that's right, and I think it'd be a little bit easier to manage it that way than the other way.
Oh, a little bit squirrely there on the exit of the chicane, down towards Clay Hill. Back marker's going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time here, Harry.
I'm just on board with Ian Hall at the moment. He's got Comrado well and truly within his sights.
Yeah, and what we do know about Ian is he will not be showing his pace. Oh, Barnett's up on the grass, manages to hold it and keeps the momentum. No, Ian will not be showing his true pace yet, so what he'll be doing is he'll be biding his time, and then at the last possible moment he can, with the fuel consumption he's got, he'll decide to push. That's what will happen with Ian. We've got a yellow flag on the track, the car number 102. Did he have a little bit of an off there? Let's just go back and see what happened to him there, as he caused a yellow flag. Has he just pulled over to the side for the back marker, do we think? Blue flag, blue flag, blue flag. He's just going slow is what I think it's called, that yellow flag. Yeah, there's the white flag there for the slow car. So yeah, that was just a pulling over. That was something of nothing. Barnett now all over the back of Lake Zoo once again.
Ian Hall flashed up on the screens within half a second. Comrado. And he was a second quicker on the last lap.
The switch between these two battles. I don't think Ian's going to be in a position to do anything just yet. Barnett might be though. Just look at the track map as well, Harry. The battles are just starting to reborn themselves. I think they're just starting to get in that position now where these cars are going to be. Oh, Lakeso's a little bit wide there. He's a little bit messy through there. He has been on the last couple of laps, and that's where the biggest gain is to Barnett. But now, as I was saying, if you could look, these battles are just starting to become alive once again. Ian Hall there now a lot closer to Conrado on this occasion.
Yeah, I think we're going to see this move in the next couple of laps.
Now, Ian won't send it. What he'll do is he'll either wait for a mistake or pressure a mistake. He won't go for the send. He won't risk that. But he'll want that podium position, and he'll be patient. He's a very patient driver, is Ian, and he'll just wait for it and wait for it and wait for it. And what we don't know what Yer's pace is. I'm just going to leave you on board with the helicopter, Harry, and I'll step away for 2 minutes. If anything stands out for you, just chip in. Oh, that's a car in the barriers. What's going on there? I wonder. That's DJ, who was having a great race. I don't know what's happened to him there. Has he just taken too much grass or curb, do we think?
Yeah, so it looks that way.
Right, Harry, I'm going to leave you on board with Barnett and Lakeso. In fact, I might even leave you on board with Ian Hall, and I'll be back in 30 seconds.
No problem at all. Yeah, I'm hoping he's left you on board with Ian Hall. That's certainly who's on my screen anyway. Biding his time with Conrado, who has gone onto the grass, and that's Ian Hall up into P3 and that podium position. Even with that move there, it's Ian lifting, coasting, going into that corner there.
And I'm back with you, Harry. So what have I missed? What's going on? We've got 3 cars within overtaking distance of each other. We've got Mr. Nunez and Real battling together. We've got Ian Hall, who's made it past Conrado. It looks like Conrado's not giving up. We've also got a yellow flag of Yerst, who is off the track, who unfortunately was actually gaining on Barnett. These two are still going at each other. And then we've got Pope and Irwin together. We've got 4 battles on track as it stands at the moment. So as I said earlier, the fuel saving's done. We're now battling.
Yeah, that's right. Like I say, Ian Hall got past Conrado while you stepped away for a brief moment. Lakeso Barnett still very much battling away, and like I say, you got Irwin and Pope also getting quite feisty.
Yeah, well, it looks like the Pope and Irwin battle there's backed off a little bit. It looks like Pope's pace dropped off there. Yeah, she's about 4 tenths down on this occasion. Barnett, Lakeso still sticking together. I tell you what, Barnett's doing a fantastic job with that BMW with the damage he is currently carrying. Conrado is not giving up on Ian Hall, although it looks like Ian Hall's done that battle and dusted. Yerst is now in a place of his own, so he is now going to try and capitalise on that P7. He's got a 20-second gap behind. And what he will now do is he'll wait for the mistakes in front, because he won't have the fuel to chase down those in front. But as long as he's consistent now, he can pick up any inconsistencies in front. Barnett again, 3 tenths back here, too far back for a battle. Ian Hall pulling away slowly from Conrado, and Nunez is now saying, hang on a minute, I've done my fuel saving, my turn to get in front now. And he is chasing down the car in front.
Just about to say Yost is one of the quicker drivers on track currently, but he's just done a 154.5.
Yeah, he did have an off lap. We've got a yellow flag on track, which is Louis Arjitsu. What happened there for Louis, I wonder? Let's see. Looks like he comes in here. Yeah, you can see he slams on the brakes there and makes him stop. Does he stay at the barriers though? I hope so. Yep, he does. That's almost a perfect crash. Let's put him back in the track.
Oh, and it's all over the back of Lake so as they come up to the back marker of Cooper.
Just trying to get an external angle there. They're going to be side by side. Oh! Definitely contact there, but luckily it sort of was neutralised by the fact it was square on square. Unbelievable, some driving here. We've got Nunes there, two tenths back. He's flashing away. Look at him flashing away. He says, excuse me, I'm coming through. This is my race to win. I mean, it's quite inconsiderate these two drivers have picked the same liveries as well, really.
Yeah, I have to wait until the camera shows the number on the side of the car.
The slightly dirtier one is Mr. Reels.
Lakesu and Barnett still stuck behind car number 96, back marker of.
I mean, what's frustrating for Barnett is what would his pace be without that damage?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Ian Hall's going to get himself a podium here. If everything stays well as we approach 20 minutes left of this race. Are we going to see any DNFs, Harry?
I'd like to say no, and hope that the drivers have managed their strategies within that middle part of the race where we see everyone very much spread out. But I do think we are going to get the odd couple, and I've got a horrible feeling it's going to be some of the quicker cars that we've seen battling away all race, i.e. Lakesu and Barnett. Fingers crossed though, and hope that that does not happen.
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, I don't think all of these drivers have done enough to save enough fuel. Some of them have been constantly on the pace.
Yeah, they have, and that's certainly including the top proportion of the grid. Probably all of those drivers have been pretty much on it all race. You've got Real and Nunes. They've been battling away. Lakesu, Barnett. Yeah, there's little battles that went on all the way down the field for the first portion of the race, and that's surely going to hurt them.
You would think so. Nunes is a little bit closer this time around. If he can stay that close through the first chicane, he might be in a position to make a move on the second chicane. So let's see what he's like.
I found a handy little commentator's helping hand. Nunes has got the red mirrors on his BMW, and the car in front has got, I think it was, yeah, it's white.
Is the white mirrors? Good spot, Harry. Good spot indeed. And you can see Nunes has definitely got the pace, but he's just getting by. I mean, round here you've got to be at least a second faster than the car in front on that lap to make the move stick. We've seen that through the battle that we've seen with Barnett and Lakesu, although that gap's now just gone to 2 seconds. Have we got a mistake from Lakesu? Yeah, we have. They're separated now by a blue flag, so for the first time this race, Lakesu will be thinking, thank Christ for that.
Yeah, that's right. Just looking at Ian Hawley, he is slowly but surely closing that gap to Nunes. If Nunes and Real are in this battle for too much longer, then they may have a certain Mr. Ian Hall for company.
He has, but Ian's got to be a second a lap faster between now and the end of the race.
Yeah, that's right. Slowly coming down. Yeah, like I say, I don't think it will happen.
What I will say is though, is Yost is considerably faster than Barnett in front. Barnett's definitely dropped back another mistake because that gap was 16 seconds. It's now down to 12. Yellow flag on track. Who have we got off? It looks like Matt Cooper looks like he's in the wall. He's selecting reverse. What's he been up to, I wonder? I'm on board with him now. We're going to see what he does here. Is he coming on here? That looks more normal to me. And oh, do you think? Oh, it looks like he just followed the car in front. Got back on the power too soon to try and correct it. Yeah, that's exactly what he's done there. Yeah, he's tried to save it by putting the power back on, and he just got a little bit too impatient there by the looks of things. He's back underway now, though, with no damage. I think he just got sort of drawn into the car in front that went right, and it's quite easy to do when you're following the car in front to follow their line, even when they're off. So, in fact, drivers have been known in the past to make mistakes deliberately to allow the driver behind to make a mistake as well. So, as we know, that is 2/10 separate P1 and P2 after running now for nearly an hour, with extreme fuel management required. So some serious skill going on here. Looks like that's the move for Nunes. He's going to be out wide here as he comes down now towards Lodge curve. Is he going to make the move here, Harry? Do we think Nunes is on the outside? Can he cut it back on the inside? Is he going to brake early? No, he's going to try and send it around the outside. Did he come together? No, they managed to keep it nice and tidy. Nunes here is going to have the outside line as he comes in towards turn 1. Has he got the speed to get in front at the start? He has. But he's far from safe as they now come down towards there. And it's going to be side by side again. Oh, that's a lot of inside line there. I thought Real was going to run a little bit wide there and collect Nunes on his way through, but he did a very good job there of keeping that on the track. And Nunes is now through. And now we're going to see what Nunes' pace is. Lake Suit.
Interesting to see whether he can pull away.
Oh, look, Harry, we've got a battle here that we've not seen for the last 30 seconds. It's Lake Suit and Barnett.
Ah. Normal service has been resumed.
It absolutely has, and it just goes to prove that Barnett is the faster car, but Lakeso's doing an even better job of defending.
Yeah, it's going to be very much about where he puts his car on the track to keep Barnett behind him. He's doing a super job.
He is, but speaking of battles, Harry, in towards the second chicane now, down towards Clay Hill. Looks like we've got a return of another battle that we've not long seen, which is Nunes and Mr. Real, with 18 minutes of this race left to go, closing that gap. I think now he's cleared the gap, now he's in front rather, I think Nunes has the pace. What I think we're going to see here.
Yeah, I think you're right. He looks more comfortable on the track than what Real does. Real spend the last few laps defending hard against Nunes, and I'm sure he's going to want a bit of light relief for
in a minute. I don't think you're going to see it in the same camera angle. He just come into shot there. That was Ian Hall in the background there. So there's
the gap back to Ian Hall is now at 11 seconds. It was 12 a couple of laps ago.
Just one to watch out for those still with us in the chat as well. Kurt Bradbury is now 5 seconds off David Wilbur. And that was nearly a 10-second gap at one stage. So he's found some pace now. And I'm just looking, his last lap time is invalid. That's a yellow flag on track from DJ. Looks like he's done a straightforward spin there. Let's have a quick look at what happened to him. Comes up towards the chicane there. Nice and on the line he should be on. Takes that there, takes that there. Does he take too much curb? Oh no, he just gets onto the grass. Just gets onto the grass there and spins it. Luckily, no damage done. And he's back on the track. Barnett is still in the second there. Real is back within 5/10 of Nunes. And DJ...
Ooh, Barnett and Lake Sioux, side by side. Barnett has got past him.
Oh, he has, and I'll tell you what, that might be a critical move, Harry, because we know Barnett's the faster car.
Yes. Didn't see what happened relate to whether he had a little bit of messy entry and exit.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to go back and have a quick look at it on the replay feature. Let's see what happens here. Nice and tidy through the chicane. Oh, no, he's wide on the exit. He's wide on the exit, which then opens the door for Barnett down towards the chicane. Yep, just takes too much grass, loses all momentum, and that just really does open the door for Barnett. So what happened there? That simple mistake there has just cost Lake Sue that position. And let's keep an eye on that, because that battle is going to reoccur again as we see it. I've just noticed that Nunes and Real are close together on track. And let's switch back to the live feed now. And we've got Nunes being caught up by Real again. Lake Sue and Barnett are within 3/10 of each other. And DJ and Plakey is within 6/10 of each other as well. And we've got less than 15 minutes to go, Harry. Who's your race winner?
I think Alex Nunes at this moment in time, but I'm more looking at the P2 position. See whether Mr. Hall can get a little bit closer. I think it's going to be just a few laps out of reach for him, but he has took another second out of that gap.
He has. That's a valid point, because I'll tell you who else as well isn't out of this equation yet as well. Yes, closing that gap to P6. Pope's closing up to Irwin. Pope started 9th and it looks like she's going to finish 9th as it stands at the moment. So, again, can't be too disappointed with that. It's better than not finishing at all. A couple of battles forming now. Real is definitely... Because the thing is as well, because he was leading for so long as well, he's going to have to do his fuel management now as well. So he knows he's got to get by Nunes quickly, and then he's got to keep him behind him fuel saving, which is you can keep a car behind you while fuel saving. That's not too bad around these little British circuits. They're narrow enough to do it if you do it in the right places. But it's getting back in that position.
Yeah, it is, and the gap is slowly eking out between him and Alex Nunes. It was 0.2, it's now, I'm seeing 0.8 on the screen more than I am the lower numbers.
Yeah, that gap there is for Nunes to build on, and I suspect Nunes is still lifting and coasting. Right, Harry.
Yeah, that's right.
We're now...
It's another second out of the gap for Ian Hall.
It is, and another battle as well is DJ back here, who's all over the back of the 102 car. Now, Harry, we are approaching that 10-minute window. Now, the 10-minute window is very important to this race, because that's where, at full race pace, these cars will be running out of fuel. Yes. So we're about to see who's done what they needed to do.
Are we about to see a sea of yellow flags, or are we going to see everyone taking a checkered flag?
Not all cars are going to make it, surely. Not all cars are going to make it.
No.
Lexo's just dropping back to Barnett. Who's that that's just gone wide at the exit there? Is it the car number 37? Was that yours taking that wide there? No. I think it was Louis Arjitsu there. Let's just have a quick look at what he did. Yeah, he did. He destroyed the polystyrene barriers. He decided he didn't need them anymore. And we'll take them out of the equation, shall we?
Yeah, I think the... just going back to the Lake Sue Barnett battle,
Just to interrupt you, Harry, very quickly. Sorry, Kurt Bradbury there is causing a yellow flag on track. Let's go back to our live feed and see what's happened to him. Looks like he just didn't get the turning from the car. Didn't get the rotation. Tries to get it stopped. And unfortunately for him... couldn't get it stopped in time before he reached the barriers. That is a real shame for him. And he's still P13 now. He's got an 11-second gap behind him. He's back running again. He's got the chicane. He knows what he needs to do. It's fair play to him. Sorry, Harry, we'll go back to that battle you were talking about.
Yeah, just Barnett Lake Sue battle that we've been on pretty much the whole race.
Oh, that's a big crash for Jackie Harris, who's right round in a very awkward place between Druid's Corner and Lodge Corner. Looks like the car's managed to avoid him, though. And he's reversed out of the way of the track. Good for him. Oh, that's a right tank slapper he's got there. And you'll see, for a second, he just manages to get out of the way of the other cars coming through. And fair play to him, though. He's not worried about his own car. And he's just getting out of the way for others. He backs up out of the way as quick as he can to get it off the track. So fair play to him. It's a great move for him. He's still there waiting to spin it around now. He's got a bit of clear track coming. But he's got the 87 car to come through, as it stands at the moment. Where is Kurt gone? He's down into P14. We knew he'd lost that position. And yeah, there he is. He's back up and running once again. That's down to... Oh, Harry, we're hotting up at the front here again. That's a late move there. He's going to try and go around the outside. No, he doesn't. He tucks back in. Going to try and cut through the other way. What's he going to do here? Where's the helicopter? Wake up, cameraman. Thank you very much. And they're going to be side by side around through the bowl here. And again, Barnett manages to keep position. 10 minutes to go, Harry. We're now in that critical fuel window. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's right. And Barnett had a bit of a messy last lap. He went onto the grass and he has done again there. Going to give Lakeside a run down this straight.
No, that it definitely is, and unfortunately we're going to have to wait 10 more minutes to find out exactly who is going to win this battle that, believe it or not, in a fuel restricted race we've managed to see for the last hour.
Yeah, I'm shocked at how many battles we've actually seen, to be quite honest. Oh, Erwin has gone round. That's Pope up into P8. Not sure what happened there.
Yeah, so it would appear, Harry. Would appear. We'll jump on board with that in a second because there's a 25-second gap there now. I was just checking the chat to see who's still with us. Thank you for being with us this evening. This was 95 minutes of Alton Park with a no refueling allowed. So as you can imagine, we've seen drivers lift, coast, bump draft, do everything they needed to do, even some start from the pit lane to allow them the formation lap's worth of fuel, which seems to be working for some of the drivers now. I think so's in front of Barnett there, but can he keep in front of him, because he looks like he's run a bit wide there. They're going to be side by side again through this corner for the 35th time. And if you remember, Harry, as well, there's a bit of history between these two cars. Was it not Lakeso that punted Barnett off on that first lap?
I believe you may be right, yeah.
So there's a bit of history here.
Barnett is going to be keen to get this move done.
Well, he needs to do it sooner rather than later because he's got to be in control of this battle so he can save his fuel.
Yes.
And there's no good being behind at this situation now. You've got a fuel save, and being behind trying to keep up is just going to burn through your fuel. If you're in front, you can block the car behind.
A drive
Going to be side by side. It's gone by with the helicopter. It's going to see things a bit better as they come down towards the chicane. I think Barnett's going to have the inside line. Here he is as well. He's on the grass there, and what you could see there, the difference between there was Lakesea there was coasting and Barnett wasn't, and that's the big difference there. That's where the fuel savings gone on now. They're going to be side by side again now, down towards Druids. Let's stay on board with this camera angle and see exactly what this looks like. Oh, he's wide. That's the second time we've seen that. Can he keep up?
I think that's that.
I would agree. Let's just watch that again from the helicopter. Looks like he gets the wrong line at the start of that. Yeah, front end washes out. But that's the third time we've seen that BMW do that, and I wonder whether that's setup related, because the front end of that BMW has just not been on point this race.
Yeah, as we're obviously getting down to lower fuel, I feel as though that's probably what's going on. The setup just does not like the lighter car.
And again, that's what I said earlier. The damage is now starting to show for them cars there. Ian Hall now within 8 seconds of P2. Got 7 minutes to go.
He's just a mistake away from P2, isn't he? Really?
Well, if he's a mistake away from P2, he's a mistake away from P1 as well, because the two front runners there within a second of each other, which is Nunes, who has now pulled a second gap on Real. So that's that battle done for the time being. Will Real have enough fuel to come back at him later on? We will soon find out. Jeff's up into P13, and Kurt Bradbury there, after his little off, back up into P14. Nice little recovery for him, and he's doing well there. Last lap time was a 51.9, so he was 3 seconds faster than the car in front. He's now just got to hope he's got enough fuel to make the move.
Yeah, that's right. And I think those little battles that we had started to form have slowly started to drift back into everyone having their own little bit of the track.
Yeah, well, what will have happened, Harry, is they will have seen that have had surplus fuel, that have used it wisely, that have waited until a wise point. Is that Real in the pits?
Real is in the pits. Oh, that's a out of fuel job, that.
I'm just on board with him now. Let's see what he does.
That was very sudden, that.
Looks like he was in the pits there. He is. I think he's out of fuel, Harry.
Well, That's our
Well,
first one.
Yeah, he's out of fuel.
DGJ, he is out of fuel. He's pulling over to the right hand side on the pit straight.
And I said that 10-minute window was critical. And you can see there his foot's flat on the accelerator. He's trying to make it last. He's got his hazard lights on. Real's in the pits. I don't think Real was out of fuel. He's made it to his pit box, Harry.
Unless he's RTG'd.
He could have done, but why? He made it into the pit lane, so that's interesting to see. TJ is there out of fuel. This comes the fun part now for us, Harry, as we're going to see who has managed their fuel correctly. And I said not everyone would have done it. Real will be annoyed. That's Ian Hall's P2.
It is indeed. And the gap is starting to close to Alex Nunes as well.
Oh, that's Nunes'. Unless Nunes makes a mistake, that's the done deal now for the...
Yeah, I would agree.
And I think Real's out of fuel because he's been in the pit lane now for 1 minute and 26 seconds. So he is done. DJ, we know he's out of fuel. He's pulled over to the side of the track. Who's going to be next to drop? This race has just got very interesting indeed. DJ's out of fuel. We know Real is out of fuel as well. That battle with Alex Nunes just cost him a little bit too much. Four minutes to go. 2 laps, 3 racing laps. Let's see who else is going to fall. We are within the final 5 minutes of this race. These drivers had only 1 tank of fuel to make 95 minutes around here. They've got 2 sets of tyres. No one's pitted for new tyres apart from Matt Cooper. And everyone else now is just trying to make it to the end without the fuel. And we've seen that Real and DJ have both fallen victim to the fuel consumption race. With 3 minutes and 42 left to go. Where is Mr. Nunes on track? There is going to be, I think, 1 more racing lap after this one. What's he on now? 58 seconds. No, there's going to be 2 more racing laps after he completes this one. So let's...
There'll be a lot of drivers hoping that was going to be 1 lap to go, I'm sure.
Well, Nunes can't... The thing is, he can't afford to drop his pace off because he's got Ian Hall breathing down his neck. So otherwise, I think Mr. Nunes would be thinking, hang on a minute, let me just try and make this race finish a little bit earlier than what I want to. But if he crosses the line with over 1 minute and 55 seconds to go, there's going to be 1 more racing lap after this one. Unless, of course, he decides to lift on that last lap. Let's see what he does. Let's see exactly what he does. He's going to have a choice in a minute. He's either going to lift on this final lap, but again, he's got Ian Hall 8 seconds behind him. He can't afford to lift too much, you know. Yeah, he is. He's going to be...
Ian Hall's definitely quicker than him as well.
So this is going to be really interesting now. He crosses the line with 2 minutes and 41 to go. There's going to be 2 more laps, Harry. There's going to be 2 more racing laps. There is not 8 seconds there for Nunes to be able to lift and allow Ian Hall to catch him. So that is... This has just got very interesting indeed. Of course, Pope now up into P7. 32 seconds off Yerst. Yerst is 13 seconds off Lakeso there. Lakeso is now 2.5 seconds off Barnett, who's obviously gone into fuel saving mode. Barnett's 15 seconds off Conrado. Conrado is only 11 seconds off Ian Hall, and Ian Hall is within 8 seconds of the leader. So we're going to have 2 more racing laps now, which is fallen. Couldn't have fallen worse, to be honest, because what it means is these drivers are going to have to make that fuel last a little bit longer. And I think Nunes is still pushing because he's only 3/10 down on his delta, so he can't afford to lift too much. The ideal scenario now would be to lift and let that race clock drop down, but 1 minute and 42 seconds is too much for him to make that stick. So we're going to have 1 more racing lap, Harry, and the race winner at the moment looking like Alex Nunes, unless that fuel timer is just a little bit out for him. Shall we see? Who else are we going to see fail on the fuel management? We've got 1 minute and 23 seconds to go. 1 more racing lap. Alex Nunes is going to cross that line for 1 final time during this race, and we're going to see who has done what they need to do to make this work. The yellow flag on track is from DJ, who has run out of fuel, pulled over, puts his hazards on. You've got Earl in the pits, run out of fuel.
Erwin is out of fuel. He's going very, very slowly. No, oh no, sorry, correct.
I think that was a blue flag for the leader, Harry.
That was probably just a blue flag. Yeah, I apologise, and I'll keep a mouth shut.
We'll start calling you Crofty. And
sorry, Ted.
The 2-6 Ted. The Nunes start. Yes, this is going to be the final lap. This is the final lap, Harry. And the other thing as well is you've got to remember, anyone in front of that leader is going to have to do another lap as well. So Yers now is looking. If Yers was sensible, he's got 33-second gap behind him. He's going to be thinking, I'm going to lift here. But then he's got Pope behind him as well. So basically, anybody, Pope is going to be the last person to have to cross the line, I think, on this occasion. Unless she lets the leader go by, which I don't think she will. I think she'll want to finish this properly. So that's a yellow flag as well. Down that end of the track, there was a white flag there for Pope. The car number 10 was Irwin. Taking a little bit too much grass. Who else have we got on track, Harry? Anybody else going to fall short of the fuel?
He's struggling. He's going quite slowly.
No, he's full flat on the throttle. He's lifting like crazy though.
He is, yeah. He's on his final lap now.
He is, and he'll be hoping it's a very quick lap is what he's going to be hoping.
Are we going to get everyone else finishing? It's just going to be two.
Is Denise Pope going to let the leader overtake her, or is she going to do one more lap? What do we think she's going to do? I think she's going to do one more lap.
Personally, would be slowing down considerably right now.
And she's going to do one more lap. So Denise Pope is going to be the last driver to cross the line, as Alex Nunes is about to take his win, and I hope he didn't get a drive-through penalty there being out that wide on the track. He's about to take the win of the 95 minutes of the Eco Challenge in the M2s. He has finished the race. Everyone else now needs to finish. Ian Hall is about to take P2. He finishes the race, takes the checkered flag. Conrado, is he going to cross the line? He's flat on the floor. It looks like he's going to make it, and he can roll from there. He's going to make it. Barnett, is he going to make it? Is he out of fuel? Barnett's out of fuel.
Barnett's out of fuel. And that battle that went on for so long, he is now.
Is he out of fuel? Why has he got his hazards on?
What's gone on there? He's full throttle.
Full throttle, and he's got his hazards on and let the car go by. That's interesting. Yes, where's Yerst on the track? Full throttle still. 170 kilometers an hour. He's still got plenty of fuel in the tank. Checkered flag for him as he now comes around the final corner for the final time. He can roll from there. Denise Pope going to be the car behind. Is she going to have enough fuel? Just like to point out as well, the leader's nearly caught up with Denise Pope. She's fuel saving that much. Matt Cooper, Denise Pope finals across the line.
Just looking at the in-game chat, Alex.
There's a puncture.
Like Barnett had a puncture on that
Did.
flat. Oh, he must be absolutely gutted.
He would. You would be, wouldn't you? You would be absolutely devastated after doing all that. That was
with 0.0 litres as he crossed the line. And Alex Nunes, absolute wizard, 3.5 litres when he crossed the line.
He had another 2 laps left in him. That was an incredible race, Harry, and thank you everybody for joining us during that. That was, as I'm sure you'd agree, a fantastic race to watch, and there were so many different strategies there. So thank you for stopping by. That was a great race, and thank you to everyone that's dropped by to watch that. The HFG community really appreciate it. And until we're back again, stay safe, and thank you very much for watching. That's good night from me.